When an adult male is chasing a female with the intent to commit rape, I shoot the bastard. That's my policy. Dirty Harry is the first of 5 films starring Clint Eastwood as Harry Callahan, an inspector who isn't afraid to, let's say, get down and dirty with some of the worst scum of the world. He's a man who puts justice before law, and that's really what this film is all about. When a man calling himself the Scorpio Killer offs a bunch of people around the city of San Francisco, he's eventually caught by Callahan. But this man is let go due to the methods in which he was arrested by Callahan. Despite the fact that everyone involved, the police, the lawyers, know that this man is guilty. You know, they found the dead body of one of his victims based on information he gave. They found the gun that he used to shoot all these people. So that is when this idea of law versus justice comes into play. First, Callahan's methods can seem somewhat unorthodox and at times, very questionable. We may even have moral judgments about what he's doing. Callahan represents that thing within all of us, I think, that every now and again would like to take the law into his own hands. I mean, we'd never quite go to the lengths that Callahan would, but this character kind of allows us to live that out vicariously through him. Clint Eastwood is fantastic in the role. Now, I've never really looked at Eastwood as one of the best actors in the world. Apologies to Peter, Bearded Movie Guy, I know he's one of your favourites, but he's got something, hasn't he? He's got that star quality. He is a movie star. There's something magnetic about him, and that is definitely present here in this film. The way he delivers certain lines of dialogue, the way he's able to just exude cool in everything that he does, that's one of the things that attracts you to this character. He's a straight talker. He's got no time for BS. He'll cut straight down the line, and that's evident within the way the film is shot. Whenever you're looking at Callahan, he always walks in straight lines. He could kind of bend around cars and whatnot, but he doesn't. He looks at where he's going and he draws a beeline straight for it. There are so many elements of this film that you can see were kind of the spark that ignited so many other movies. The buddy cop movie. There is a buddy cop element to this film. Now, it doesn't quite go the same route as most other buddy cop movies that we know, but it's still there. The seeds are there. I also think it's quite important to just point out that The French Connection was released in the same year as Dirty Harry. It was released a few months before Dirty Harry, in fact. So I don't think Dirty Harry can take all the credit for some of the tropes that we now see in buddy cop movies and in cop movies in general. I think this film, along with French Connection, have a lot to answer for. And going back a few years as well, In the Heat of the Night, which I did review a little while back on my channel. But even in this film, having just watched all the Lethal Weapon movies recently, you go back to that first Lethal Weapon movie, you have that iconic scene where Riggs has to go up a tall building to try and bring down this man who's thinking about jumping. Well, that's here. Callahan does the same thing. He has his own methods, obviously, of bringing the guy down. But Riggs in Lethal Weapon is just the evolution of that. He's the next step on from this. Basically what I'm saying is, without Dirty Harry, we wouldn't have Riggs. We wouldn't have Die Hard. We wouldn't have John McClane, I don't think. The villain in this film is played by Andrew Robinson, and he, as he himself has pointed out, looks like a choir boy. That's one of the reasons Don Siegel, who directed the film, chose him for the part, because he doesn't look like a serial killer. He doesn't look like a psycho. But he certainly plays the part very well in this film. Now, his character was modelled on the real-life killer, the Zodiac Killer. For those who've seen David Fincher's film, which I highly recommend checking out, for me, it's Fincher's best film. You will see the seeds of this film, of Dirty Harry, of where this villain came from. The city of San Francisco itself also feels like a character within the film. Now, Don Siegel uses a lot of wide shots, and we spend an awful lot of time on rooftops. So yeah, that cityscape, the San Francisco cityscape, becomes a character of the film. It becomes a part of who Harry Callahan is. He is one with the streets in much the same way that Batman is with Gotham City. Another character is his gun as well, which sounds a bit silly to say, but it is an extension of him. It is that thing he uses to cut through the BS, so to speak. Now, it is a weighty gun, you know, it's a 44 Magnum, and it is a very, very heavy gun. And you see that in the way that Eastwood handles it. You can see the heft of this thing. And it does indeed feel like a character, an extension of his character, of who he is. This is quite a dark film, both in colour palette and subject matter. It's definitely not one to watch during the day if you've got light streaming through your windows, because sometimes I just couldn't see what was going on. It was so dark, to be honest. Also, I must say that at times the pace does feel quite slow by today's standards. You know, this is from 1971. We've come on a fair bit since then in our film techniques. It doesn't put me off really in any way, but just be warned, if you've never seen this film before, it is quite slow at times, a little bit plodding. I'm not that keen on the soundtrack either. The soundtrack is kind of mixed between like a funk and jazz 70s era soundtrack. I'm not that big on that type of music from that era, but yeah, there you go. A few little quibbles about a film which is otherwise a classic, and quite rightly so. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. I don't think it's quite the 5 out of 5 material, but who knows, with a few more watches it may go up in my estimation. If you've seen the first Dirty Harry film, please comment below and let me know what you thought about it. Until next time, thanks for watching.